And here.
Next stage we go to.
It's in the 20th century.
Yeah, in the 20th century. So we're getting into. Yeah. So we probably get to about probably close to 2000 here. So first of all, this section is contact lenses, where the lens is put onto the eye.
Yeah.
And skirts, we're talking about over there, who's the...
Contact lenses.
Yeah, and the fellow who was into low vision, he also came out with contact lenses from Germany. And that, we believe, is what he brought out with him from Germany.
But they removed. And they have to remove.
Oh, yeah. So
but now, no.
Yeah. Some of them. These ones you'd get a couple of hours before your eye went cloudy. But that is actually a test set. So they used to have to. He'd put one on, and you'd find out what shape the white part of the eyeball was. But the central area is usually a little bit sharper curved. So then you'd have to use those to work out what shape you need to make it. They used to come out. Then they would come out ready-made, but they would grind the centre for the prescription. Then they started making them, custom making. So you did that by putting something like the dentist used for moulding. You put it moulded into the eye, and then make a plaster mould of that.
Oh my God!
And use that plaster mould with a sheet of plastic, heat that up, and put it over. So you actually made you matched the shape of the patient's eye. A lot of anaesthetic required.
Oh my God.
And then they were custom made for each. There's a pair that would have been made in the 60s for a patient. The letter that came with them when they were made, they said she had them made and hardly ever wore them because they were so darn uncomfortable. Because you can see the size of them. You've got to sort of you've got to pull your lids out of the
the big one is uncomfortable.
It was very hard to get them in. Then they went to smaller hard lenses. So
the colour,
and
the blue,
they can be
green,
coloured,
and brown.
and they are very small. They're only that size, so they go on the centre of the eye. Again, not necessarily all that comfortable.
It's universal size, or whatever you want, the small one.
Again, you had to measure the shape of the lens.
But they still measure.
And I used to wear that type of lens. And they changed, the materials got better and better. But and then we got in. So there's some of the cleaning things we used.
I'm using this cleaner.
You've got the.
No, not for the lenses, for my glasses.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And for my eyes. But this is for the lenses.
That's for lenses.
Yeah, especially for lenses.
And then we get into the soft contact lenses, which came out in the 60s. And the early stage, various, again, used to measure the shape of the eye and find a lens that was fitting. But where in the hard lenses, a lot of cases, the optometrist was making those on site at his practice. These ones now are becoming lenses where they're being made by big companies because they were getting more and more specialised. Until now, nowadays there are some of those are the one-day disposables where you put them in the morning and throw them away at night. And there are some around, of course, that you, if you monitor it very carefully, they can be left in the eye for. I had a few, and then you find what's wrong. You try every lens you can, and it doesn't give you any result. There's probably something wrong with the eye. So then you want to look inside the eye and see if you can find something wrong. So these are ophthalmoscopes. So the early ones, you had to use a light from somewhere, probably a candle in the early stages, or perhaps a kerosene lamp or something to give you your light. And then you looked in the eye with these things. And
this is the stuff.
And they started to see things like those pictures there. That's a real picture of somebody's eye, inside somebody's eye. The others, but a lot of them were obviously, this is before they can photograph them, they used to draw pictures of them. So each of those little things.
Yeah, it's for the test.
And then,
Direct
so
and indirect.
those ones are called direct ophthalmoscopes.
Direct,
You've got to get
indirect.
very close to the patient, like the one in the bottom picture
Yes.
there.
Yes.
Whereas the indirect, which you hold a lens in front of the eye, and you can stand back and look inside the eye. So the optical system is different. You get a bigger when you're standing back. You get a lot more of the vision of what's inside the eye, but the magnification is very small. So you get the benefits from one or the other. But the very close contact is not necessarily.
Yeah.
Nowadays, they sit you in front of and take a photo. So all of these ones up here are the developments of the ophthalmoscope, but these ones have got batteries in them, so that they provide their own light, which is a lot easier than trying to fiddle around with a light somewhere. And the top ones there are indirect ones. One with
indirect.
and a couple of those are actually using, so that the optometrist is using both eyes to look, so they get a bit of a 3D effect on it as well. And one of those was again developed here in Melbourne. And this is more teaching stuff here. So a student would be given. They put lenses in front of that little box, and they could make them work out the strength of the lenses they needed, and also these are things that are pretty stylised, but if there's a certain disease, that's what they'd expect to see. So they get them to identify the diseases as well. And there's a few. Then we get apart from looking inside the eye, the pressure inside the eye with from glaucoma, we started measuring that. Those ones on the wall there, in the cases, were designed for measuring pressure, but you needed to have the patient lying flat on their back.
Yes.
You used an anaesthetic in the eye, and you put the thing dropped that thing onto, or held that on the eye, and there was different weights, so it gave you different measurements.
So really hard.
Yes, it was not very pleasant. But then there are other versions nowadays. Well, some of them still need anaesthetic, but they're not. You can at least sit up and do it, like the ones up there. This one here is an early form, what they call non-contact. It actually blows a puff of air at the eye to measure the pressure. So there's various. This back in the 1920s. No, actually, this is 1933.
1911.
Yeah, 1911 was first invented, but this one's about
from German,
probably 1930. Yeah. So this is more for looking at the front surface of the eye, at the front part. You get a little bit into the eye, but you've got a binocular microscope there and a light. So you shine the light on the eye, and you can move the light around and focus things differently without even by using a little stick there. Okay,
wow.
So that's getting more health of the eye worked out. Then we look at how the two eyes work together.
Yeah.
And this is the binocular. This is where we get to binocular vision here. So different ways of measuring it, 3D effects, and this instrument here, or instrument I suppose you can call it, is designed to show how the eyes work together, or how they work. Each eye has 6 different muscles to alter it, to have its position. You get one each, some to do that way, some do that way, and a couple of others to do twisting. So we get so depending on which muscle is being used, the little weights there show you which ones are working, but it's more of a teaching tool for us. And then measuring how the two eyes are working together. This thing here, this black, you see an arrow with one eye and numbers with the other eye, and depending on how your eyes are lined up, you'll see the arrow will. We know the arrow is actually pointing at 0, but when the eyes are seeing separately and one of them can wander, the arrow will appear to be under different next to a different number, and we can work out how far out of alignment the eye is. Now we get into sort of more specialised stuff. Low vision, people who, no matter how hard we try, may not be able to read much more than the top line on that chart, even with the best looker. So they need extra magnification, particularly, and often it's
still a difference in there. Different.
So this is a sort of test set and they came out as little. There'd be little telescope arrangements to give you extra strength.
The extra thing there.
Yeah. And
from people with low vision,
the low vision people. So that's some of the things that that's some of the things that they used there, and some of the early stuff. The literal lenses. These particular range of lenses was again developed in Australia, in Sydney mainly there. Yep. The book there is the records, the clinical records of a fellow from the 1920s who pioneered low vision work in Australia, or in Melbourne at least. His name was Ernst Goetz. He came out from Germany as a representative of the Zeiss company, who made lenses, and so he came out here because his girlfriend migrated to Australia, and he decided she's going out there, I'm going to follow her out. so he came out. He ended up by marrying her, but he came out so he got himself a job out here, and then he was trained as an optometrist, and eventually he joined one of the practices in Melbourne later on. But he was the first to have anything to do with low vision, and we'll find him again very shortly in another area. Television was the other thing that optometrists specialised in, because particularly when you're getting the early stages of railways, where people had to work out, train drivers had to know whether the signal was red or green.